Now we are actually sitting in the room of a laser scanning confocal microscopy. This is the instrument that we utilize to ensure that each and every essential oil under the Ameo brand is indeed cell active and permeable. Until recently, the process of verifying essential oil quality has been heavily dependent upon the data of a single instrument, namely gas chromatography mass spectrometry, or GCMS for short. While GCMS offers powerful insight into the constituent profile of each essential oil, it is only one tool in the biomedical toolbox that allows us to more effectively learn, assess, and create a leading line of essential oils. Just as a house cannot be built with only a wrench, no organization can build a quality essential oil line with only one tool. It is the combination of numerous biomedical applications that allows one to more effectively construct a foundational and truly cutting-edge line of essential oils. At Ameo, we have pioneered the application of several biomedical tools into the essential oil space. In addition to using GCMS to ensure that Ameo essential oils are aligned with those used in peer-reviewed scientific papers, we have also combined the use of confocal fluorescence microscopy and patent-pending processes of labeling essential oils in conjunction with living human cells to track their efficacy of penetrating living human cells. Utilizing this assay as one of many different tools in the Ameo quality assessment process, we are able to obtain two key points of data. First, we qualitatively measure the kinetic transfer of the oils across the cell membrane to ensure that each one is in fact permeating the cell. This data helps us more effectively vet each Ameo essential oil based upon its ability to penetrate and ultimately work at the cellular level, which is the source of human health and wellness. Each essential oil is taken through this analysis before it is released for sale under the Ameo brand. This data allows us to not only measure the qualitative transfer rate of the essential oil into the cell, but also the subcellular localization patterns of each essential oil within the cell. For example, we are able to ensure that not only the essential oil penetrates the cell membrane, but we are also able to inherently identify the localization pattern of that essential oil. For example, to the endoplasmic reticulum, endocytic vessels, or some other organelle such as the nucleus. Collectively, this data is leveraged to create a blend of complementary Ameo essential oils that effectively permeate the cell and then localize to different subcellular compartments within the cell, giving a complete cellular response to the essential oil blend. Secondly, Ameo is able to determine that the essential oils are activating inside the cell. What does this mean? Activation is a term that Ameo uses to describe the enrichment and retention of essential oils within the cell. When we look at the transfer of essential oils across the cellular membrane, we observe that not only do they transfer, but also that they are ultimately retained within the cell at a much higher concentration than is found in the extracellular solution. The level of enrichment increases over time, going against the concentration gradient. This suggests that the cell is using additional essential oil absorption pathways other than just passive diffusion. Going against the concentration gradient suggests that there is active absorption into the cell and effective incorporation into the cell's metabolic, structural, or compound synthesis pathways. The data we are able to obtain using confocal fluorescence microscopy is absolutely overwhelming and exciting. The technology and processes have not been utilized in the essential oil industry until now. This gives consumers the confidence that not only is GCMS used to identify the constituents that make up an essential oil, but also that other cutting-edge biomedical tools are being used to give a more full quality and efficacy assessment of each essential oil. We are proud of the quality and purity of the Ameo product line and how our clinical-grade, cell-active and permeable essential oils are revolutionizing the industry and are giving individuals the opportunity to live a richer, fuller, happier, and healthier life. What I want to do today is we are actually sitting in a laser scanning confocal microscopy room, and I want to walk you through the process in which we go through to ensure that each and every essential oil under the Ameo brand is cell active and permeable. Now, this instrument here is a finely tuned, highly sensitive machine. You're able to get amazing resolution, and it is able to get resolution across multiple axes, including the Z-axis. It involves multiple lasers, and it gives an amazing ability to resolve in real time how living cells are actually interacting with their environment and with their fellow cells. What we have done is we have applied this instrumentation into the essential oil space. Utilizing a patent-pending process of labeling essential oils, we are able to track in real time the migration of the essential oil constituents across the cell membrane, ensuring that they are cell active and permeable, and then we are then able to determine the mechanism in which they behave once they are entered into the cell. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a few cells into focus here. I will then bring that imagery over on to the computer screen here so that you are able to see what I am seeing, and then we'll add in the essential oil and we will able to see this essential oil entering in the cell. So I'm going to take a few moments here and I'll just get this imagery in focus. What I'm actually looking at are these are human endothelial cells. These cells are cells that are routinely used in the biomedical space for determining numerous applications. So what I'm doing is I'm actually adding a little bit of basil oil. I'll transfer the image now over to the microscope here so that you can see them. What we see here is the green is the cell membrane and the blue is the nucleus. We can actually switch between the channels, right? So if we look just at the blue, this is the nucleus where we're looking at the DNA of these cells. We look at the green channel, this is the cell membranes. We can see how they encircle the nucleus. Now we are taking just a section, so it's kind of like cutting a baseball in half. That's why you're not getting the full properties, the three-dimensional shape of the cell. That's part of the properties of a laser scanning microscope. And then if we go to the red, we can see that there's nothing. Red is indicative of the essential oils, which I have yet to add, and we'll be adding soon. So what I'll do is I'll go to all three channels, and I'll be adding these essential oils in real time. I just got a 100 microliter pipette here. I'm going to be adding a few microliters of this particular essential oil. Okay. So as you can see, we are now starting to see red coming as I added the essential oil to this culture. These are living human cells. We are starting to see some interactions going on here. The cells are gradually starting to take in this basal essential oil. We're starting to see it first happening here along the cell membrane. Now the refresh rate of this is about every 30 seconds. So we're kind of getting stop action as this laser is scanning these cells. We now see it heavily being incorporated throughout the cytoplasm of these cells here as it starts to go into this body. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to just the red channel. Now if you remember before it was completely black. We now see how the essential oil is outlining the cell membrane, being incorporated and passing through the cell membrane, becoming active inside the cell. And what is so amazing, and this is so inspiring to me, is we see ultimately that these cells continually to enrich for these essential oils, that they continually take them in and utilize them. And what this is suggesting that they are the essential oil constituents of the Ameo essential oils are being incorporated into so many potentially metabolic pathways, into the synthesis of other compounds, helping to ensure that there's proper transfer and of metabolic intermediates, amazing properties, and it's so inspiring to see this happening. Now what is interesting is you look here around, there's not nearly the red concentration that is inside the cell, suggesting that there's so much more than just passive diffusion of these essential oils across the cell membrane or plasma membrane, but that there is actually enrichment or seeking out of these constituents, and that the cells will ultimately inherently take them in and retain them, giving it what is termed the active part of cell active and permeable. And so we go back to this now of all three images. We see a beautiful outline of the green, the cell membrane, and then the red, the essential oil in the cytoplasm. And we can see with this particular essential oil, it seems to be largely free from the nucleus, but is being retained predominantly in the cytoplasm. And we see each essential oil has unique characteristics in how it localizes inside the cell. This is something that you yourself can see by going to the Ameo difference and entering in the lot codes, and you can see how each of these different essential oils have unique properties of how they interact with the cells. And this data is actually utilized into creating our essential oil blends, that we are able to identify and create blends that have complementary ways of penetrating the cell and being able to influence all the different subcellular components, the nucleus, the cell membranes, the endocytic vesicles, the lysosomes, etc., creating a cell complete blend. And so this is just one example of that which we do on a regular basis to ensure that each essential oil sold under the Ameo brand is indeed cell active and permeable.